Hello everyone, this is your girl SolieSims, and we're doing, or rather we're resuming the landscaping tutorials that I started a while back and I stopped. I don't even know why I did. But anyway, we will be doing this time around a backyard, but with a more of a semi-romantic feel to it. I'm going to try to incorporate as many different types of backyard landscaping spaces, not just backyards, I should say, guys, but also side yards, front yards, curb appeal, etc. I'm going to be using two different types of fences. I'm going to include some water features and just trying to bring a lot of flowers in. We won't be using anything from the debug menu. We will be focusing a lot on the only cheat, rather, I should say, that we will be using is the move objects on, and I love to use it personally simply because I believe that it is such an ideal tool that we can use to ensure that things just go where exactly we want them to go, because you do know that a lot of the things are locked in certain grids. Personally, I don't use the grid most times when I build. In this particular one I did, um, just for a little while, and just so you can see certain placements, you can use it to help you decide how many squares or how even you want the stuff to be. Now I used this wall that I just created as a gauge to how wide I wanted my backyard to be, because I'm building this on a 40 by 30 lot. I don't know why I decided to go with such a big lot. It's not needed, it's not necessary, but this was my blank canvas, so to speak. So this is what I did. I wanted to try to bring in some like French countryside feel, as well as just a bit of modern touches to it as well. So as you can see, I'm using two different types of fences, like I said, and I'm using again the grid to try to have them match up so that they're in line with each other, in terms of the grass, well, the hedge, I should say, and the wall fence. I wanted to have an overhang with outdoor dining, as well as just a little back porch type space. So what I did is I created little rooms because I wanted to have an overhang as well. And normally I would have done this with the like a trellis type, but I decided against it this time. And now I wanted to have the space on the top for me to be able to create the effect that I wanted. So I used the very small half walls to create like a type of cavity to allow me to put in what it is that I wanted. Now guys, I already had an idea of what type of plant I wanted to put in here, and we have the planter, which we will be heading to shortly. Just want to do the finishing touches in regards to put in the different color to match the type that the color that I had in the bottom. And I wanted the rooms to look a bit like concrete, rather the walls to look like it was just poured concrete, and so we had that option there, so I was able to do that as well. And to incorporate the water feature in between the columns, I went with the fountain tool, and I didn't do anything in terms of lining the fountain or anything of the sort. I did put in some water emitters, which I sized down by 1 to allow for just a smaller look. I mean, it's still visible, but I just wanted it to just a little bit smaller than what it would have normally been. And it has this really relaxing sound when you go in game and you're actually playing. And to add a bit of contrast between the rooms, I decided to go with the darker concrete, the darker kind of poured concrete. Now, this space here, I wanted it, like I said, to be like outdoor dining and entertainment. If you have a large group of people and you want to have like a backyard barbecue without actually having, just not having too many tables and chairs out there, and you wanted just a little romantic type space. So that's why I even decided on this particular style to go with. This is the plants I was talking to you guys about that I actually really wanted, and I overlapped them, and this is why the move objects on sheet came in handy, as well as the overlapping of the vines that I'll be using. I used some of the rose bushes as well as these from Jungle Adventures. Now, I can't even tell you exactly what all packs that I used. I own all the packs, so I incorporated all of them. If there is a particular pack that you prefer to see, like if it's a base game with 2 other packs or whatever, you can let me know in the comment section below, and I will of course try to recreate something with using those packs just to help. Of course, again, this is where the move objects on cheat came in handy to blend the 2 different rose vines on here. I was trying to decide what styles. I mean, they say every single mistake is a new type of fashion. This is what happened. I was trying to recreate the look of the white coming through. I did in the first one into the second one, and I just had to play with it just a little bit to get that type of effect. Now, I wanted to have like a big hulking wide tree, and this one was just perfect, guys, to enable me to have like that type of overhang effect. And if you're looking for romantic garden stuff, I would definitely say that type of feel with the just lots of flowers and a flowering tree definitely would go a long way to help with that as well. I made a little kind of conclave with the trees and the rocks just to add a little bit of an effect. I did spray the area on the ground beneath the tree and I just did it erratically, as you can see, with the white terrain paint that looks like it's flowers, simply because, I mean, if it's a flowering tree and it has lots of white flowers, chances are when it is shedding, it will shed those flowers down on the ground. So you want it to have that type of effect to look a lot like this is what is actually happening. These that particular table, I didn't even know that was the table that I was going to go for, but the colors matched perfectly with the flooring that was used, so I decided to incorporate it in there. And I feel that a 6-seater is fine. You can of course add chairs on either side. That would work as well, because and make it just a larger space. And I like the kind of rustic look of those particular spindle chairs. It reminds me a lot of my grandmother. I decided to incorporate it in however way that I can. I wanted, of course, to bring more plants in to the middle of the table, and so I went with these, which kind of just they're plain and ordinary, and that is what part of the appeal is. It kind of reminds me of like concrete planters as well, but in of course a smaller version. And I think that one that vase is from I think it is not the tiny living pack, but it has the color tones of the pots are really lovely, and it looks, there's one that looks a bit like marble, which I incorporated in there as well. Of course, you can flip over, and I think I eventually do. I just used the T button to be able to have a bird's eye view of what it is that I'm doing. And again, guys, you will see shortly that I do it, especially when I'm having a little bit of trouble placing what it is that I want to. And of course, you just use the 9 button to bring everything up and the 0 to bring it back down. As long as you have placed an item on a level that you want, well, in most cases anyway, as long as you've placed the item on, say for example, the countertop, the tabletop, and you move the table out of the way, it should stay at the same level, so that you can uh, place it wherever it is that you want to place it in the middle of the table. And this is what I wanted to do. I also wanted to bring in the mason jar lights. Of course, it adds to the French country feel as well as the romantic feel. It's a little bit whimsical, etc. And because this is an outdoor garden, and I imagined like birds and just, birds and other little insects around, I put up the fly wall lights. It suits. Now, as always with landscaping, most persons don't normally put little bits of grass and weeds around the rocks and base of the trees. I prefer to do it for my builds. I think it adds a little bit of realism to it, and it just suits the space and the aesthetics that I was going for. So I incorporated some grass as well as some little white weeds around the space. Now, I didn't do in terms of the flower garden that I did. Well, not flower garden really. It's just like overgrown bush basically. So what I did is, this is where I put down the grid and I turned up to the bird's eye view so that I can see, and you can just mix and match and just flip your flowers aside. And if you've decided on a pattern, if it's 1 2 2 1 2 2, or however it is that you want to do, you continue like that. Especially if it's something, if you were new to landscaping and you're not quite sure what to do, I would suggest that you do it like this, so you have like a pattern. Or if you have two matching colors that you want to incorporate, it could be, for example, white and yellow. So if you're going to do one white, two yellows, and or vice versa, you can continue with it, which is why I did it at the angle that I did. And I just continued with the terrain paint across the whole of the back here. Now I brought in more of the weeds. I keep saying weeds, guys, but I just sized it down once, so it has this kind of full effect going on over here. Now, like I said, I wanted to incorporate the a lot of water features in here, so I had an idea of what I wanted on one side and what I wanted for the other. Again, with any type of romantic feel of the garden, I think the water, sounds of water, is very relaxing, so you can incorporate the water in here. And I decided to put in another fountain which can also double as a bird bath. And because of course water is coming down off of the fountain, we would expect there to have like a little bit of overgrown shrubbery in the bottom here. So this is where I just lay down some of I don't know what it's called, shrubbery, I guess we'll say, or it could be more weeds. And I sized down the bougainvillea. I chose white again because in keeping with the romantic feel. I don't know why white just screams romantic, but it does. So we have a bit of overgrown bougainvillea coming in here, and of course that would help add with the fragrance of the flowers. You know, you have to have a little bit of idea of what you're going for in your mind, you know. Now I incorporated a statue as well, and I chose the statue of the little girl who kind of looks the fairy girl. I was about to say an angel, the fairy girl, and because we're going with a kind of not quite white color theme in here, I kept that type of uh color that kind of looks like it's been out there for a while. It has a little patina on it. It looks like, you know, it's been weathering the weather. And I just put in a little bit more of the white shrubbery, etc. Now I felt personally that the garden on its own was okay. I didn't want to overwhelm anybody in putting in too many things. I just wanted to show you how simple and easy just putting in some things can come together to make the space come together basically. Now this is the little back porch area. Normally I would not have done anything in there because it's more the landscaping that I wanted to show you guys, but I also want to show you how you can move from landscaping into like the back porch to make it flow and look like it's all pat up, you know, it's like it's all coming together basically. So I decided to go with darker wood tones, and I do change it in the end, guys. Darker wood tones that look very, very natural, and we're keeping again in theme of the whites as much as possible. So I brought in like the twigs from the in the cushions, etc. And I brought in a nice little, I think I did change the rug in the end. I love this color rug, but it doesn't quite go with what it is that's going on here. And so I changed it off in the end. And I wanted to incorporate the fireplace. I actually wanted to do like a fireplace with a television in the back, like a more modern feel, but I decided to go with this one instead. And if we had like a wheel, like, you know, an old wagon wheel or something like that, that would go perfectly just above the fireplace. But you can incorporate and do whatever it is that you actually want to do with that space. I wanted to show again that maybe you don't have to go all the way out into the garden if you want to sit and have a get together. You can also have that space inside on the back deck, even though you do have that large space outside in the open. So you can incorporate that as well. And I just placed this table. I don't know where the table is from, guys, honestly. I should probably check which pack. It will pop up. It will pop up. So so the table basically came in handy with the matching little chairs. It could very well be eco lifestyle, I'm not sure. And I just put some fruit out there, which is not kind of realistic if you're living in a hot climate to keep fruit outside in a bowl, because man, it will bring a lot of fruit flies, it will bring a lot of just flies, and it will rot much quicker because of the heat, humidity, etc. And again, just bringing in some more of more flowers and more, you know, different little pieces that will help tie in the space. And I like this mirror. I really like this mirror, and I like the color swatches that one came in as well, because it matches beautifully to some of the pieces that are already there, and that works fine. And I'm just going through trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to add. I wanted to also bring in just a little bit of color, and I got those pink flowers as well. And then to find a side table, guys, The Sims doesn't really have small side tables. I was going to use this one from the tiny living pack, but it's still too, it's, the color swatches were not matching, the lines were not the same, and it wasn't really coming together. So I ended up using this one from Jungle Adventures, and it is actually in a close enough color, so it looks a bit like repurposed wood. And this is the look that I felt was perfect for this space, and it matches perfectly as well. So again, this is where I sized them down one, and then I had to bring it up using the 9 key to find the correct height for this one. And it just flows so well, it flows really, really well. I just put up some wall sconces with the, but planters, really it is, right? And that is what it is. So here we have the screenshots, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you again. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe.